On this Friday night, more Canadians caught up in the hantavirus outbreak. The latest precautions and reassurances.
Onward spread within Canada is not expected.
As health officials prepare for the cruise ship's arrival. School cyber attack. A massive breach hits thousands of academic institutions, including Canada's top universities. The U.S. government declassifies its UFO files.
Is that the booster or is that an actual sighting?
What newly released photos and testimonies reveal. Plus, celebrating a special centenarian.
I've been completely overwhelmed by birthday greetings.
Natural historian and beloved broadcaster Sir David Attenborough turns 100 years young.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The number of Canadians who may have been exposed to the hantavirus outbreak has now risen to 10 after health officials learned that 3 Canadians were on flights with an infected passenger.
One of the cases in the outbreak was on a plane that traveled to Johannesburg, and some of the Canadians were on that flight, and then there was another flight where that same case was temporarily on the flight, but not for the entirety of that flight. So there was a short exposure for some Canadians.
In total, 6 Canadians are now isolating at home. 4 others remain on board the ship where the outbreak started. The cruise left Argentina 1 month ago. The first victim died on board on April 11th. 2 weeks later, his wife and 28 other passengers, including 2 Canadians, disembarked on the island of St. Helena. The wife and a third passenger later died. The ship is now off the west coast of Africa, and it's expected to arrive in the Canary Islands on Sunday with 147 people still on board. Our Heidi Petracek reports on the plans to receive them.
Onward spread within Canada is not expected.
The nation's top doctor says it's unlikely Canadians who came back early from the cruise expedition spread hantavirus to others, while also revealing health officials have learned of 3 more people potentially exposed.
2 in Alberta and 1 in Ontario that were on another flight where they may have had brief contact with a confirmed case.
All are asymptomatic, but were instructed to isolate while public health gathers more information. For the 4 still on the ship, authorities offered no firm plan yet on how they'll get home, saying perhaps by charter plane or...
I would like the individuals to be able to stay where they are. It would be preferable for them.
To bring them home in a safe way.
3 people have died from the strain of hantavirus that passes person to person. A handful are in hospital. Friday, the World Health Organization offered good news. A flight attendant who felt ill after contact with a passenger who died has tested negative.
This is a dangerous virus, but only to the person who is really infected.
Although there are several new suspected cases connected to the ship. At the port in the Canary Islands, where the vessel is expected this weekend, dock workers are angry and worried. But officials say it will only anchor inside the port, where passengers will be taken on small boats straight to transport for repatriation flights.
There were lessons learned during COVID, but the key issue here isn't are there lessons learned, it's can we implement those actual lessons learned to mitigate the severity of these outbreaks.
So far, the more than 140 people remaining on board, including the Canadians, are symptom-free.
We have also heard from the family of the first 2 passengers who died after contracting the virus, an elderly married couple originally from a small village in the Netherlands. In a statement shared with us, the family writes, "The beautiful journey they experienced together has been abruptly and permanently cut short, and they've asked for privacy as they work to bring their loved ones home." Jeff.
Heidi Petracek in Halifax. Thank you, Heidi. Canada's economy suffered an unexpected setback last month. Stats Canada is reporting a loss of 18,000 jobs, pushing the unemployment rate up to 6.9%. Economists say the labor market is experiencing its most challenging period since the COVID-19 pandemic. And as Jillian Piper reports, young workers are bearing the brunt.
University of Ottawa student Sylvie sent out 55 resumes this year trying to land a summer job, but she only got 1 call back.
I'm someone who always holds 2 jobs at a time to pay for my rent, and it was almost impossible this year.
A difficult job hunting experience that many students know well.
I've definitely sent out like 50 applications. Sometimes, you don't get anything back.
There's like lots of positions already filled, and with like AI and stuff, they're replacing entry-level positions.
New job numbers showing no signs of relief, with the unemployment rate for Canadians aged 15 to 24 climbing to 14.3% last month, more than double the national average of 6.9%.
We saw the youth job market fall off a cliff, and it hasn't shown any signs of life since.
Difficulty getting into the job market, in part caused by the global uncertainty of U.S. tariffs and volatile energy prices from the U.S.-Israeli war in Iran, leaving many businesses in a holding pattern.
Firms just aren't quite sure, where that is headed for their business and whether they actually do need to hire a lot more people or not. And so they're being especially cautious.
The national unemployment rate is roughly the same as it was a year ago, but Canada has lost 112,000 jobs so far this year, with the tariff-exposed manufacturing sector hit especially hard.
That's definitely still a corner of the labor market that's persistently soft, seeing job losses, versus the rest 90% of Canadian jobs market is kind of chugging along.
The Bank of Canada will be forced to weigh a weaker labor market against inflation risks from the war in Iran at the next interest rate decision in June, Jeff, with the majority of economists expecting the central bank to hold its current rate of 2.25%.
Jillian Piper in Ottawa. Thanks, Jillian. South of the border, the labor market is showing signs of growth. The U.S. added 115,000 jobs in April. Most of the gains came in healthcare, retail, and transportation. The manufacturing sector lost jobs, despite President Trump's push to have companies build in the U.S. The unemployment rate there held steady at 4.3%. Thousands of schools around the world, including some of Canada's top universities, have been hit by a major cyber attack. A notorious hacking group has claimed responsibility for breaching the learning management platform Canvas, which handles grading, lectures, and class assignments. They've reportedly obtained millions of users' private data and are now threatening to leak that information unless ransoms are paid by May 12th. Schools are now scrambling to reinforce their cybersecurity. They have taken Canvas offline, throwing final exam season into disarray. The Canadian schools targeted include the universities of Toronto, Alberta, and British Columbia. An Ontario teenager is facing first-degree murder charges in the deaths of a mother and her two daughters. Police in the small city of Brockville, southwest of Ottawa, say they've never seen anything on this scale. Our Mackenzie Gray is in Brockville tonight, where officers have now confirmed that the accused and the victims knew each other. Mackenzie.
Jeff, we're just over an hour outside of Ottawa along the St. Lawrence River here in Brockville, where police are labeling the murder of a mother and her two daughters as intimate partner violence. Police are still investigating at this residence on the edge of Brockville after getting a 911 call Thursday at 11:30 a.m.
Officers arrived promptly and confirmed that the three individuals were found deceased inside the residence. The victims were a 49-year-old mother and her two daughters, both 17 and 15 years of age.
Police are giving no other details on the victims and limited information on the alleged murderer, a 17-year-old male who were unable to identify due to a publication ban. One key detail investigators will say that he knew the victims.
The youth accused was in a relationship with one of the deceased daughters, indicating that this is an incident involving intimate partner violence.
The alleged murder weapon, a knife, but police say they're still investigating if there were any other additional weapons used. The accused was arrested early Thursday afternoon at this home, where he allegedly got into a physical altercation with police, leading to one charge of assaulting a police officer on top of 3 first-degree murder charges. A small memorial growing outside the victim's home.
It kind of hit home. I just thought it was the right thing to do to get 3 carnations and a ribbon and a card.
Police say it's too early to determine a motive and wouldn't speculate on if mental health played a role in the triple murder, an act this small Ontario community has never seen before.
Brockville is a tight-knit community. We're close, and the community's hopefully going to show that all families involved the empathy that they deserve.
The accused had a short court appearance Friday morning, Jeff, and he'll stay in police custody until his next court appearance on May 28th.
Mackenzie Gray in Brockville. Thanks, Mac. Police in the Toronto area have arrested and charged 8 young people over a string of smash-and-grab robberies. Halton Regional Police laid more than 50 charges against suspects from Toronto, Mississauga, and Barrie, all of whom are aged 22 or younger. They're charged in connection with a dozen thefts between January and March, targeting jewelry stores across multiple cities.
A lot of these types of crimes now are orchestrated by a crime network, and they can put out a call for actors who want to be part of it to make a bit of money. I think that our investigative team believes that's the case in this regard.
The suspects are also accused of using stolen vehicles with cloned license plates during the robberies. In one instance, a vehicle was driven into a business in Burlington. No one was hurt, but it caused major structural damage. Police say their investigation is ongoing and more arrests are expected. Police in Toronto have arrested an 18-year-old suspect after 2 suspected hate-motivated shootings over the past week targeting the Jewish community.
These incidents are deeply concerning, particularly because the victims were visibly identifiable members of our Jewish community.
Police say in both cases, the suspect fired a replica handgun from a blue SUV at Jewish pedestrians. The most recent shooting last night targeted 3 people standing outside a synagogue in Toronto's North York neighborhood. 1 person was injured. Police executed a search warrant at the suspect's home, and he's now charged with numerous weapons offenses. The federal government announced today it will be consulting with provinces, territories, and Indigenous groups to streamline its regulatory process and fast-track major projects. This comes after the Prime Minister and Alberta Premier Daniel Smith met today to negotiate a series of overdue proposals, following last year's Memorandum of Understanding on a potential new pipeline. As Heather Yerkes West reports, there are new signs that both sides are ready to compromise.
Welcome back. Alberta's premier in Ottawa Friday in search of a final deal.
I know industry is getting a bit impatient. Albertans are getting a little bit impatient.
Almost 6 months after signing a memorandum of understanding on energy policy, outstanding issues remain.
The MOU was a grand bargain about building a pipeline from Alberta to British Columbia in exchange for a series of environmental promises.
For Alberta, those promises included agreeing to a plan to increase the industrial carbon tax by April 1st. After the meeting, Danielle Smith said negotiations went well.
I'm feeling much more confident that we're going to be able to finally land the MOU.
The world and the discussion around global energy security has changed dramatically since that initial MOU was signed last fall. The war in Iran and a U.S. presidential permit greenlighting a potential new pipeline connecting Edmonton to Wyoming, raising questions around whether Canada should continue to focus on climate policy at all.
For example, the industrial carbon tax is unique to Canada. No other major oil-producing nation in the world has one.
But speaking to a Conservative audience following her meeting with the Prime Minister, Danielle Smith appeared to soften her stance, setting the stage for a potential compromise in the days ahead.
We have to be mindful of where the entire world is. Saudi Arabia and UAE, of course, do not have a carbon price, but they're both investing in carbon capture utilization and storage, direct air capture.
Smith says her government will submit a plan for a West Coast pipeline to the National Major Projects Office next month, hopeful it will be approved soon after. Heather Yerkes West, Global News, Calgary.
The U.S. is waiting to hear whether Iran will accept its proposal for restarting peace negotiations. The response from Tehran is expected at any moment. For now, a stalemate hangs over the Strait of Hormuz, with both sides exchanging fire, despite claims that a ceasefire is in place. Jackson Prosco reports from Washington on the tense waiting game.
The latest escalation saw the U.S. fire on 2 empty oil tankers that were trying to defy the American blockade of Iran's ports. It came after Thursday's exchange of fire in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran fired missiles at 3 American destroyers, prompting the U.S. to respond by targeting the Iranian military facilities behind the attack.
We didn't fire, they fired on us. My point is, if you fire at a U.S. Navy ship, what are we supposed to do? Say, oh, there's a ceasefire, we're not going to shoot down your drone.
Somehow, the ceasefire still stands. The White House insists the skirmishes don't rise to the level of resumption of conflict, and the door is still open for peace talks.
It could happen any day, and it might not happen, but it could happen any day. I believe they want the deal more than I do.
Iran accuses the U.S. of trying to scuttle a deal. The country's foreign minister wrote, every time a diplomatic solution is on the table, the U.S. opts for a reckless military adventure. Iranians never bow to pressure. Iranian lawmakers warn if the U.S. naval blockade continues, it will be met with a military response. The U.S. insists the bigger problem is Iran's uncertain leadership.
Their system is still highly fractured and a bit dysfunctional as well.
With its chokehold on global energy intact, Iran seems content to take its time with any negotiations, inflicting pain while threatening a return to all-out war. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
The truth is still out there. Coming up, what the U.S. government's newly released UFO files reveal. The U.S. government has just released a collection of classified files linked to reported sightings of unidentified flying objects. The material includes video and audio recordings dating back decades. This batch is expected to be the first of many. Our Nathaniel Dove on what the secret files reveal.
Unidentified and unexplained. The American government releasing this video saying it's from 2013, but not saying where it was recorded or what it shows.
They want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material, and we're going to be releasing a lot of things that we haven't.
It's part of a trove of documents the U.S. Department of Defense, on President Donald Trump's orders, began releasing Friday. It includes a reported sighting from the Gemini 7 mission in 1965.
This is Houston. Say again, 7? So we have a bogey at 10 o'clock high. Gemini 7, is that the booster or is that an actual sighting? Okay, we have several, looks like the 3 up there, actual sighting.
Though all items include a disclaimer, readers should not interpret any part of this description as reflecting a factual determination regarding the described event's validity.
Saying alien, that feels like a nice clean answer, instead of saying a very reflective tinfoil garbage bag or something like that.
Space educator Trevor Turline points out the range of photos and videos don't appear to show anything conclusive. And while he welcomes transparency, he points out Trump's also facing criticism for which files his administration has released and when.
That applies to apparently the Department of War, nay, Department of Defense, but then the Department of Justice not releasing a certain type of file?
Turline reinforces science means not jumping to conclusions. Nathaniel Dove, Global News, Toronto.
A potential setback for Canada's soccer team ahead of the World Cup. That's next. Well, this is an historic day for Canadian women's basketball. That's Toronto's mayor raising a flag to mark the first regular season game for the Toronto Tempo. The team is hosting the Washington Mystics tonight in the first of 44 games this season. Toronto and Portland joined the WNBA as expansion teams for the league's 30th season. Canadian soccer phenom Alphonso Davies suffered a hamstring injury in Wednesday's Champions League game. His team says he'll be out for several weeks. Bad timing for Canada's national team. It's offering up an expert in soft tissue injuries, hoping Davies can recover in time for the World Cup, which Canada is co-hosting starting next month. And after a 2-year pause, thousands of Palestinians in Gaza took part in the 10th Palestine International Marathon. Amputees injured in the conflict with Israel were among the participants. It coincided with a similar event in the occupied West Bank. Up next, happy 100th. The world celebrates Sir David Attenborough's milestone birthday. Welcome back. Well wishes are pouring in for Sir David Attenborough. The renowned wildlife broadcaster is celebrating his 100th birthday. And to mark the milestone, the royal family just released this photo from 1958. That is a young King Charles and his sister meeting Attenborough and Cocky the Cockatoo. A special concert was also held in Attenborough's honor at London's Royal Albert Hall. His work in broadcasting and conservation has spanned more than 7 decades and brought the natural world into our living rooms. Our Redmond Shannon has more from London on Attenborough's extraordinary life of adventure.
A huge birthday tribute in nature for a man who has fundamentally changed how generations of us see nature.
I've been completely overwhelmed by birthday greetings
from preschool groups to care home residents.
David Attenborough's thank you message on his 100th birthday, a man who hasn't stopped extolling and advocating for nature since the early 1950s.
The end of the 1980s, they all said, David's going to be retiring soon. Who do we get to replace him? You know, and here we are in 2026, you know, David's still going strong.
To mark the milestone, Britain's Natural History Museum has named an entire genus of wasp after Attenborough, but that is far from the first animal named in his honour.
Attenborough-saurus, of course, massive extinct sea reptile. There's a butterfly, there's a dragonfly, there's an echidna. That's pretty special. There's not many people have an echidna named after them.
But there was one series that changed everything.
His iconic status as the voice of nature and conservation cemented by the groundbreaking Life on Earth in the 1970s. A format that broke the mold for nature on TV.
It's very hard, I think, for people today to even understand that sort of idea that you're seeing so much that is so new to you.
Should have chosen the gorilla.
The highlight, perhaps, his encounter with gorillas.
It lives here 10,000 feet up on the flanks of the volcanoes of Central Africa.
After days of sizing up the crew, the apes decided Attenborough was worthy of this, something he described as the greatest compliment he's ever been paid. That may now only be bettered by this, a 100th celebration card from 194-year-old Jonathan the Tortoise. Redmond Shannon Global News, London.
And that is Global National for this Friday. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada, this patriotic display of balloons in Belleville, Ontario. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Have a great night.